Alright, so you're probably thinking, how can productivity become unproductive? Or what does that even mean? It makes no sense, right? Well, stay with me for a moment because I have a very logical explanation for that. And I'm gonna start by sharing a few things about Robert from 2 years ago. It was the middle of the summer in 2022 when I finally decided to stop wasting valuable time on meaningless activities. For the first time in my life, I felt the burning desire to do something just for myself. Not for school, not for my parents, but for my own interest and self-improvement. That's when I got into productivity, and naturally, being all excited and stuff, I began filling my calendar with all sorts of things, but mainly consuming as much content as I could. Reading that book, watching those videos, making some notes and so on. At that time, I honestly thought I figured things out, because I felt more productive than I've ever been. Except, I wasn't truly productive. In fact, for all I know, I was actually unproductive. Like sure, I wasn't wasting most of my time on entertainment anymore. Instead, I was learning a lot of things, absorbing a lot of knowledge, which is great and it also felt great, but that's not enough, unfortunately. Because at the end of the day, I wasn't taking any action and so I wasn't getting closer to achieving my goals. Actually, let me rephrase that. At the end of the day, I didn't even have a goal that I could make progress towards. All of my concern was directed towards being busy, doing things that could potentially prove to be useful at some point in my life. And that's precisely the problem. You see, productivity can be very mischievous in that sense. It's very easy to get fooled by the dopamine and all of the positive emotions you get from checking off tasks in your to-do list. If you're using a digital to-do list, it's even worse because most of them are gamified. Like they congratulate or reward you the more tasks you complete. So yeah, being busy doesn't always mean being productive. That being said, there's one more question left. What is productivity, in fact? Well, after 2 years of doing this thing and constantly refining and improving the strategies that didn't work, this is what my personal definition of it sounds like. Productivity is not about doing all sorts of different things. It's about narrowing down your energy and focus towards the activities that matter, that are meaningful to you and that are gonna get you closer to achieving your goals. That's what I've been doing and it works a lot better. But of course, there are a few obstacles on the way of becoming truly productive, and so in this video we're going to talk about the 3 biggest signs or clues that your productivity might actually be unproductive. Let's see the first one. You have a full calendar. Now, like I said in the introduction, filling up your calendar when you're just getting started is quite natural. And there are 2 possible reasons why that's compromising your effectiveness. First, if you have a full calendar, you're probably allocating way more time than is necessary to your activities. If you're honest about it, you know the work could get done in less time, but you're choosing to stretch the daily deadlines or work intervals because you feel like you're gonna do a better job. More time, better results, right? It sounds quite logical. But that's not how it works, because oftentimes our brains are smarter than we'd want them to be in these situations. For example, if you allocate 5 days for writing an essay, your brain will be thinking something along the lines of, well, there's no rush, no need to enter into panic mode yet, I should conserve my energy for the moment because there is enough time to finish this thing later. And as a consequence, it will probably take the whole 5 days to finish writing the essay. This phenomenon is called the Parkinson's law. The shorter version of it sounds something like this: work will expand to fill the time you allocate to it. So realistically speaking, you could finish the essay in 1 or 2 days. If you truly focused, I'm sure it wouldn't take longer than that. But now you're probably thinking, okay, I could just rush the thing and finish it in 1 day, but wouldn't that affect the quality? Well, maybe it's counterintuitive, but no, the essay wouldn't be worse. If anything, you'd actually do a better job, because by setting shorter deadlines, you force your brain to enter into panic mode. And that's where it really starts to perform, because it's no longer relaxed, it's no longer conserving its energy. It's like the difference between driving a car with a cold engine versus with a fully warmed up engine. It makes a huge difference. I'm telling you, this is not some fairy tale story, it does work. In fact, I've managed to successfully apply it in my life multiple times. So let me share my most recent success story with the Parkinson's law. For each video that I upload, I have to write a script that's roughly around 2000 words. Now, up until a month ago, I would do this over the course of 6 days. Basically splitting the work equally, which means writing 400 words a day, and the last day for review and rephrasing. All of this ended up taking about 8 hours a week, just writing the script. It's a lot, honestly, and it felt like a chore. But now, after shortening the deadlines because I wanted more free time, I'm able to finish the script in only 3 days. That's about half the time. And I think I'm doing a better job as well. I don't know, with less available time, I feel like I'm more creative and inspired and stuff. And it's also more fun. The stakes are higher and I'm more engaged in a process because of that. So, doing the same thing but better and in less time. I know it sounds like fantasy, but just give it a try and see it for yourself. The second reason why our calendar is full is probably because it's filled with too many activities. Alright, here's the thing. I'm gonna explain why this happens in 99.9% of the cases. It's because you become addicted to the inputs. You know that moment when you check yet another task of your to-do list and it feels amazing? That's addictive. The more tasks you complete, the better and more productive you feel. And this becomes a problem when you begin to prefer small but frequent doses of dopamine from the numerous inputs you engage in over a big and fat dopamine boost you can get from a longer session of deep and meaningful work. Now, getting your satisfaction from the inputs and not worrying too much about the outputs is not always detrimental. For example, if you're going to the gym consistently 5 times a week, but you're not seeing the results you expected yet, don't let that bring you down. Be proud of yourself because you're disciplined and you're taking action. You're doing what needs to be done. And there's not a lot of people who are willing to do that. And soon enough, you'll enjoy the rewards anyway. So keep going. Now, the difference between this and the previous situation is that in this case, the input is strongly tied to the output. If you continue to go to the gym and eat properly, you're gonna get in shape, there's no doubt about that. But if you're doing a shit ton of things just for the sake of feeling like you're doing a lot, and not necessarily because they will lead to your objectives, it won't be helpful. Like watching 3 random videos, reading 10 pages of fiction, meditating for 20 minutes and organizing your desk every single day isn't gonna help you improve your social skills, for example. These are taking valuable time in your schedule, time that you could make better use of, like talking in front of the camera, or learning new words, or learning to write concise and coherent sentences, or ultimately just getting out there and practicing talking to people. You have to choose the appropriate inputs for your goals if you want to enjoy the expected outputs. Moving on, the second clue that your productivity might actually be unproductive is obsessing over productivity apps and tools. If you're using more than 3 of these tools, like a calendar, a notes app, and a to-do list, you're probably doing way too much. Look, there's this common misconception all over the internet that productivity has to look pretty, that you need a clean, minimalistic desk setup, and you need all sorts of productivity apps where every second of the week is neatly organized, and all that stuff. That's not productivity in and of itself. Being productive means being effective with your time. Choosing and actually intentionally and vigorously doing the things that are gonna provide the most benefit to achieving your goals. I don't know how to stress this enough. The work needs to be done consistently, and the less time you actively spend on your productivity apps, the more time you have to make progress towards the goals, right? It makes sense. Back when I started to learn about productivity, there was this very popular topic that all of the big YouTubers would make videos about. And the topic was building a second brain inside a note-taking app like Notion or Obsidian. Now, if you don't know what a second brain is, it's basically a complex interlinking of pieces of information. It's meant to imitate the neural network structure of the brain. So how it works is like this. You basically write a piece of information and then you link it to another one that is also linked to other multiple pieces of information. The purpose is to easily navigate through the things that are closely related, go through all of the knowledge in a cascading sequence. Now, I tried this and I hated it. Besides taking a monumental amount of time to build, it's also quite difficult to navigate as well. Because it's overwhelming, there are so many links from one thing to another that you just get lost in there. At some point, you don't even know what you're looking for anymore. And this was my first clue that more productivity tools don't necessarily translate into more stuff done. In fact, it often doesn't. When you focus too much on using all of your apps, it becomes unproductive. Or a better term to call it would be productive procrastination. Because you're not making actual progress towards your goals, but you're not procrastinating in the traditional sense either. It's a deceptive middle ground, and it's better to just stay away from it because it saves a lot of time, energy, and the mental overhead. Like being careful to constantly update a bunch of apps with the correct information or the current situation that you're in is seriously draining, trust me. And the third clue that you're a lot less productive than you could be is half-assing stuff. Remember the car and engine comparison? Half-assing the things that you have to do is like trying to drive fast with a cold engine. It's a lot more difficult and it can also damage the engine. So by comparison, if your brain is not operating at the highest capacity because you're not fully locked in or excited about the task, 1, you'll perform worse, and 2, you'll be more tired. Believe it or not, completely engaging in the activity and doing your best while at it is energizing and it makes you feel good. It boosts performance and all that good stuff. I used to be skeptical about this, but then I learned that energy management is a lot more important than time management. And this is the way to increase energy and maintain it. Force yourself to be excited and give everything you've got. Drink a coffee if you have to. At the end of the day, rather than half-assing a task, you'll be better off by just taking a break and coming back later with fresh enthusiasm. Energy management, very, very important. And that will be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to press the like button and subscribe to the channel because it helps a lot. Thanks for staying until the end, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye!